The FBI plays a crucial role in safeguarding national security and upholding justice. However, the agency's legacy is also intertwined with secrecy and controversial actions. Throughout its history, the FBI has been involved in numerous clandestine operations, some of which have raised serious concerns about government overreach and abuse of power. From the surveillance of civil rights leaders to the infiltration of political groups, the FBI's covert activities have often sparked debates about the balance between national security and individual liberties. In recent years, the FBI has faced renewed scrutiny over its secret actions, particularly regarding its handling of sensitive investigations. The Department of Justice's secret seizure of records from journalists and members of Congress during the Trump administration is a case in point. This incident highlighted the potential for abuse when law enforcement agencies operate with excessive secrecy. The lack of transparency and accountability surrounding these actions eroded public trust in both the FBI and the DOJ. Moreover, the FBI's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case has further fueled suspicions about the agency's willingness to protect powerful individuals. The sealed FBI files related to Epstein's crimes have become a focal point for those seeking justice for his victims and demanding transparency from law enforcement. The continued secrecy surrounding this case has only deepened the mystery and fueled conspiracy theories, further undermining public trust in the FBI's ability to act impartially. The FBI's use of secret actions raises critical questions about the balance between national security and individual rights. While some level of secrecy is necessary for law enforcement to operate effectively, excessive secrecy can create a breeding ground for abuse and erode public trust. The cases discussed in this essay highlight the importance of transparency and accountability in ensuring that the FBI's actions are consistent with its mission to protect the American people. The DOJ's secret seizure of records from members of Congress and journalists during the Trump administration sent shockwaves through Washington and beyond. This unprecedented move raised serious concerns about the executive branch's willingness to target its perceived enemies, including those tasked with holding it accountable. The DOJ's actions were widely condemned by lawmakers from both sides of the aisle, as well as by press freedom advocates who viewed it as a blatant attack on the First Amendment. The DOJ obtained the phone records of two Democratic members of Congress, Representatives Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell, as well as dozens of their aides and staff members. The government also seized the records of several journalists from prominent news organizations, including CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. These actions were taken as part of leak investigations, but no charges were ever filed against any of the individuals whose records were seized. The DOJ's actions were particularly troubling because they bypassed established protocols for obtaining records from members of Congress and journalists. These protocols are in place to protect sensitive information and prevent the government from using its investigative powers to harass or intimidate its critics. By circumventing these safeguards, the DOJ undermined the separation of powers and threatened the free flow of information that is essential to a functioning democracy. The seizure of journalist records was especially alarming because it struck at the heart of press freedom. Journalists rely on confidential sources to report on government wrongdoing, and the DOJ's actions sent a chilling message to potential whistleblowers. The Obama administration also faced criticism for its aggressive pursuit of leak investigations, but the Trump administration's actions were seen as far more egregious given their scope and the president's own rhetoric about the media being the enemy of the people. The sealed FBI files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes have become a source of intense scrutiny and speculation. Epstein, a wealthy financier, was accused of sexually abusing and trafficking dozens of underage girls over many years. Despite the seriousness of the allegations against him, Epstein managed to secure a lenient plea deal in 2008 that allowed him to avoid federal charges and serve only a short prison sentence. Epstein's death in prison in 2019, ruled a suicide by authorities, did little to quell the controversy surrounding his case. Many believe that Epstein's powerful connections, which reportedly included prominent figures in politics, business, and entertainment, helped him evade justice for years. The sealed FBI files have only fueled these suspicions, as they are believed to contain information about Epstein's associates and the extent of his crimes. Radar Online, an online news outlet, filed a Freedom of Information Act request in 2017 seeking the release of the FBI files related to Epstein. However, the government has repeatedly denied these requests, citing ongoing investigations and the need to protect the privacy of Epstein's victims. While these arguments have some merit, they have done little to satisfy those who believe that the government is hiding something. The public has a right to know the full extent of Epstein's crimes and whether anyone else was involved in facilitating his abuse. The continued secrecy surrounding this case only serves to protect the powerful and erode public trust in law enforcement. The release of the Epstein FBI files would be a step towards transparency and accountability, and it would allow the public to finally learn the truth about this disturbing case. The cases discussed in this essay highlight the corrosive effects of government secrecy on public trust. When law enforcement agencies operate in the shadows, it becomes difficult to hold them accountable for their actions. This lack of transparency creates an environment where abuse can flourish and where the public is left in the dark about the true nature of the government's activities. The DOJ's secret seizure of records from journalists and members of Congress was a blatant attack on the First Amendment and the separation of powers. This overreach of authority eroded public trust in the justice system and raised serious concerns about the government's willingness to target its critics. The fact that no charges were ever filed against any of the individuals whose records were seized only added to the perception that these actions were politically motivated. The continued secrecy surrounding the Epstein FBI files has also fueled public distrust. The belief that the government is hiding information about Epstein's crimes and his powerful associates has led to widespread speculation and conspiracy theories. This lack of transparency only serves to undermine the credibility of law enforcement and erode public confidence in the justice system. In a democracy, the government derives its legitimacy from the consent of the governed. When the government operates in secret, it undermines this fundamental principle and erodes the very foundation of our democracy. Transparency and accountability are essential for maintaining public trust and ensuring that the government is acting in the best interests of the people it serves.